Hey, it's Kassy. We're going to make a journal page today, and we're going to be using some of the amazing Sizzix Studio supplies I have here. I have a stamp set and some stencils, and I'll tell you where those came from in a moment. I've got my registration platform tool, and I have some Amsterdam acrylic paint here. I also have some ink, a couple different colors of ink. I've got black, white, and deep gold, and I've got my tools. Everything is set and ready to go. But you know, today we're going to actually talk about color. When I thought about making this video about color and journal pages and all of that, I really wanted to sort of go in a different direction. So I'm going to start moving things around and getting my space ready while I talk to you about the color. The idea with color that I want to just chat about today. So color, yeah, we know in general, like warms are more invoke emotions and feelings, and cools are calmer in general and things like that, whatever. Like we know all those things, we're taught all of that. Well, maybe we do, hopefully. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, I don't know. But in general, just as a general way of like how color makes people feel different things. But I kind of wanted to talk about something a little different today, because I talk about color in that way a lot, and I teach people like, what are the cool colors, what are the warm colors, what are contrasting, and all of the color relationships, and it's all really important for you to know and for you to build a relationship with color. But there's something that we don't really always talk about, and that is how color makes you feel. And I'm talking about you specifically, not the general you, how cool colors make people feel calm. That's true in general. But what about how colors make you personally feel? And here's what I mean. When I think about colors that feel like home to me, that make me feel cozy and warm and comfortable, I think of turquoise or teal or aqua, right? I think of little bits of yellow. I think of magenta and hot pink and maybe like an indigo blue and just more bold, vibrant colors. Those make me feel comfortable and at home. Those are the colors I reach for all the time when I'm creating. But there's someone else out there. There's a lot of someone else, a lot of people out there that will reach for maybe like peach, mocha brown, earth tones that are more muted and softer, right? And those colors make that person feel cozy and at home and comfortable. And those are the colors they reach for when they're going to create something and they want to be in their own sort of zone, right? So that's what I mean. They're two completely different color sets and color palettes, but they invoke the same feelings from two different people because of all of our stuff, all of our filters and the way we were raised and all the things, right? Everything that has come together over the years to make you who you are, okay? There is a color palette that makes you feel cozy and comfortable and at home, and that you reach for time and time again when you just want to create something that feels good to you. Doesn't mean that I don't like using earth tones and those more muted colors. Sure, if the project calls for it, they're beautiful colors, but they're not what I reach for, instinctually or instinctively, whatever. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. So I want you to notice that for yourself. You probably do it without even thinking about it, but I just sort of wanted to bring it up and talk about it, and I'd love to hear your comments too and what you think about all of this. Maybe you could leave a comment below, and we could have a discussion about it even. But I just wanted to talk about color a little bit this week as we're creating a journal page. I'm going to start creating, and we'll just kind of talk as we go. But I just wanted to sort of bring that up because, yeah, people have their colors that are comfortable for them, but I don't know. I've never been in a conversation where we talked about it as if, as like, oh, these are my these are my these are my comfort colors, and how they're different for everybody, but still invoke the same emotion. I just think it's a really interesting thing to think about. And I think I wonder what you think about it as well. So, okay. So we are going to use some stencils here today. I've got, let's see what I have here. I just put this one down, but I don't even know what I'm doing yet. So I just picked a few things that looked fun and interesting. And so we'll see where it goes. I haven't used this one yet, and I'm sad about that because it's so gorgeous. It's from Vic Holland's, and it's from the Ornate set. So all three of these stencils are from the Ornate set. So I've got all of them out today. And then I like this foliage. This is from Cat Curse from Visitor. So that one is out there as well. You know, I often will get supplies out and then decide as I go what I want to use or not use. So we'll see where the project takes us here, but I'm planning on just doing this one side of the page. And I am going to be using the colors that feel homey and comfortable to me, because that's what I want to do today. So I'm going to be using bold colors, but maybe, you know, the really cool thing is like you could use all the exact same supplies as me and just pick different colors. And of course it would look totally different, and yours would be homey for you and mine would be homey for me. And I just think that's really cool and a fun and kind of interesting thing to think about and maybe even have a conversation about. Kind of want to start with a white page. So we'll just use some acrylic ink. I've got some white acrylic ink. I'm giving it a good shake here, just to make sure it's ready for me. And I need a little clip to hold the page down because I don't like when it goes up on me like that. Okay, and then we're going to just put a little bit of white. That should be enough. We'll see. And then I'm going to use, let's just brayer it. Let's see how that goes. I just kind of want to put a little bit of white everywhere. It doesn't have to be perfect either. I kind of like the texture that's being created from the sprayer too. But this is pretty good. I just kind of want it to be a little bit closer to white. All right. And I'll put the rest on the other side of the page just to get it off my brayer. I think I need to work light to dark, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm covering up my palette over here, which I was just like, where's my palette? I want to use it. So I've got a tear off palette from Royal Talons, and you can see I've used it before. This is acrylic, so I can just work over top of it. I don't mind using these for a bit until they are really kind of full of goodness. So I've got some primary magenta. I'm going to put that down here. And then, I don't know, I wanted to see what would happen if I mixed in a little bit of this pearl. Looks white, but it isn't. This is pearl violet, and it's in interference. Is it called interference? I think it is. I just wanted to see if it was going to give it like a little bit of like an iridescence or something. And then I'm going to mix in a little bit of white because I want it to be a bit lighter. So I've just got my acrylic ink. So I'm just making a nice little pool of stuff here. I'm going to use my palette knife and just kind of mix them together. I don't know if I want all that white. Let's see. I just want it to be a little bit lighter. And I highly encourage you to mix your paint, especially if you have a limited paint palette, you know, of tubes of colors. As long as you have all the primaries, you know, in black and white and whatever, you can mix other colors. It's just fine. I think I do want this to be a bit lighter. This is going to be my base, my background. So I want it to be fairly light and maybe even a little bit lighter than this. So let's just add some more white. And I would say, you know, start with less paint. If you're going to do some mixing, start with less of the color you're mixing in, because you can always add more. It's harder to go back the other way, and then you just end up with a big pile of paint. So this looks pretty good to me. That's a really nice color of paint. I'm going to scrape off of my palette knife onto the opposite page because I don't like to waste paint. I can definitely use that another time. I will scrape just a little bit of excess off. That doesn't really come off easily onto the page. That's a really pretty color. I'm excited about this. Okay, so then I think there is some white space if I'm looking at this correctly. So I think I might just brayer this on and see how we go. And then, you know, again, I don't want it or need it to be perfect. I don't even need it to go to the, I could move that. I might move this out of the way for a second just to get it over there. Okay, looking good. There's some scratchiness in there, which is totally fine. I don't mind it at all. I'm just cleaning my brayer. And I've got some extra paint here I could use for something else at some point. Okay, that's nice and dry. That looks really good. Okay, so now we're gonna come in with the first stencil. And I do wanna use my stencil positioner because just in case I want to lift it and do more. So I'm going to move this in a little bit so that everything lines up right. I'm using my stencil positioner tool on the side, and it just pops right into there. And now see, this is going to cover my whole page. Actually, kind of want to move this book back over a little bit. So I want it to cover the whole page. I think I'm going to do the whole thing just to see how it looks. I've never used the stencil before, so I'm really curious and interested to see what kind of detail and what it looks like in the end. But it looks really pretty. I'm excited to try it out here. Actually, I'm going to go the other way. Hold on. Yeah, okay. And then I just have to make sure I do it the same for the other one. Okay, so this is good. So now what color do I want to put on here? Excuse me, I think we are going dark to, or light to dark, excuse me. So I've got pink down, and then I think I want turquoise, and then I want a darker blue. I think. Anyway, let's just see how that goes. So we'll go with turquoise next. Put some over here. This is turquoise blue. And all of the colors I'm using in these small tubes here, you can find in their, I think it's like either a 24 pack set or 32 or something. There's like a multi-pack set of Royal Talents Amsterdam paint sets, and gives you a bunch of colors. So all these colors can be found in there. Then I have my sponge pouncy tool from Sizzix. So I'm just going to grab this color just as it is. I think it should be okay. And I'm just pouncing, and I'm going to go everywhere because I definitely do want this color to be everywhere so we can see what pattern we're working with. And you know, because I have this stencil on the positioner, I can take my time. I don't have to worry about holding the stencil in place. It's just going to hold itself. And I can take my time and make sure there's a good amount of paint. I am just pouncing. You notice I'm not rubbing around because I want to make sure that as little paint as possible gets underneath the stencil. You know, I want to try to have a decent transfer here. Okay, I think I have everywhere. Now, before you lift it off completely, you can always like kind of go over, see, did I miss any spots? It looks really good to me. So I'm going to lift off completely and then put that off to the side. When you're done, you can wash this off if you want. Acrylic paint doesn't really hurt the stencil at all, so you don't have to. But that just depends on how tidy you are, I guess. So this looks really great. It's very interesting pattern starting here. I definitely want to dry this layer before I move to the next one. One tip I'll give you, this feels pretty dry to me, is your paint will dry faster the thinner it is, right? So like if you're not putting really thick layers on, then it'll obviously dry faster so you can move on to the next thing. You can also use your heat gun, definitely, but just something to consider there. So then I'm going to use this stencil, and this is also from the Ornate set. This is number 2. The other one was number 3. If you're following along there. And also it's nice to use the stamp positioner, especially for layering stencils like this, because now I know this is going to be placed exactly where it needs to be to make sure that the stencil layering is correct. So I'm going to use this darker blue. This one is ultramarine. And I'm just going to use the same sponge because it's a darker color and it's kind of in the same family, so it'll be fine. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm using these straight colors because I really just kind of like them the way they are, but you could, of course, still be mixing, making new colors. I'm just going to do this corner to start and see how I like it. I do love ultramarine with this lighter pink. It's so pretty, but I also want to see how it's looking with the turquoise and kind of if this is like the direction I want to go in. So let's take a peek. Oh, that's really interesting. Huh, weird. Okay. Okay. It is beautiful. I think I want it to be a tad darker though. So I think I'm going to mix a little bit of this permanent blue violet with the ultramarine and see what that gives us. So now I am mixing. This is going to make it a bit darker, so I need to add more of this as well. Okay, so I've just got the two colors on my inking palette. Just gonna, give them a little blend, and they don't need to be perfectly blended. I just want a slightly darker color on here. I want it to be, yeah, this is actually kind of perfect. I did want it to be a little bit closer to like an indigo, and this is giving me that for sure. So this is going to be really, really fantastic. I may have put too much paint. Oh no, it's doing okay. All right. I was worried it was gonna kind of go underneath, but it looks pretty good. So yep, I'm just going to cover this whole thing. And again, I'm doing this like you don't always have to cover your whole stencil and do all the parts. I'm doing it this time because this is my first time really using this stencil, and I kind of wanted to see, you know, what it was intended to be like. And then, you know, and then from there you can just sort of decide like, what do you want versus what did the artist want? You know what I mean? So talking about color, you know, this might make some people really like uneasy, right? This is a really bold, dark color against a pink. Maybe you don't even like pink. A lot of people don't, which doesn't make any sense to me, but that's okay because there are colors I don't really like that other people love. And I think that's just beautiful. And that's why there are all the colors, so that we all have colors that we love. But I, again, just want to point out like this palette and what I'm doing here makes me feel comfortable and kind of cozy and excited, really. Okay, so here we go. Let's see what we got. I'm going to lift it up. Whoa. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. These three colors together, you see how that darker, mixing those two together gave me a bit more contrast. Contrast is also really exciting and good for me, you know, and again, not everyone loves high contrast. Some people like it to be a little bit more subtle. So anyway, this is great. I think this is a really interesting stencil, and I'm excited to use it some more. This also is giving me other ideas. So journal is a great place to try things. Even if they don't work out, it's okay. I've got this. This is the #1 stencil from Ornate, and it just has two like torn page looks. I don't know what this is, but it's very interesting. Okay, and then I'm gonna get some white. I'm gonna go down here with the white, and let's see, I'm gonna grab another stampy, I don't know, pouncy sponge thing, and we're gonna do white. And I'm just going right along the edge, and I don't need it to be fully white. I don't mind that there's some of that pattern showing through. That does not bother me. I want it to be just interrupting the space. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's see what that looks like. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm kind of going with the flow for a minute. Okay, that's interesting. See, it breaks things up a little bit, and I have a plan for what to do in here. So I use the ink, which is a bit more translucent, right? So you can see underneath because it's thinner, partly anyway. If you use like heavy body white paint, it would just be more stark white. So it just depends on what look you're going for. I kind of like this. I'm excited about this. And we'll see what happens next. I do want to take this Visitor. This is from Cat Cur. These are this foliage, and I think it might be interesting to put some foliage in here. But I'm only going to ink where there's white. So if it overlays, if it goes over into the colored area, into this background area, I'm gonna try not to ink it. Try, that's the main word there. We'll see what happens. So I need to take one of these off, and I definitely want to try to preserve this because you can use it over and over as long as you get the paint out of it in between. So first I'm gonna, usually I would pounce it on a page and use that paint up, but I didn't do that, and I just need it to be clean now. So isn't that beautiful color? My goodness. Okay, so then you can put water in it and just set it aside. And then when you're done with your project, you can take them over to the sink and clean them. And I found that that works really well. So no biggie. And see, this one's stained, but it's still good and it's clean and dry. So I can use it for something else. Okay. Still working on my palette. I am going to bring in some of the deep gold. I feel like I can't make a project without it some days. I just love it so much. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. It's going to look really great with these colors too. And again, this is another color, another thing that just brings me joy and comfort. Maybe for you it's silver or graphite or some other metallic. And that's great too. Okay, so I'm just going to start lining up some foliage here and there. Kind of want it to go off the page. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this gold, and I'm going to try really hard not to get it outside of the white area. And I did the white first, partly to block off this space, and partly so that the gold can shine a little bit better too. You know, it's going to show up a lot better than it would if I was just on that darker background. So I'm going to leave this here for now and just see what this gets me, because I kind of like what's happening right here. And I'm just inking, pouncing and sponging, pouncing my sponger with ink on it over the areas that are white, where we have this white inlay thing. All right, that looks good. Pretty happy with the coverage. I'm going to need more for the next round. Let's get some more gold. Okay, I'm going to lift that and see what we got. Okay, that's pretty good. It did bleed through a tiny bit, but that's okay. It's still really pretty. Okay. Going a slightly different angle here, but yep, just doing the same thing I did before. Just trying to get the gold only in the white area. And through this foliage stencil. That looks pretty good. Let's see what we got. Yeah, that's great. I just kind of want it here and there. I'm going to outline these after, so they'll make more sense in a bit. Okay. I think I also want to do one more thing. So let's put this over here and get a tiny bit more gold. And I've got a paintbrush, and I'm just going to pick up some of this gold paint. I really kind of only want it in this white space, if I can make that happen. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, look at that's so pretty. I love it. Okay, so now I'm just going to doodle a little bit. I'm going to kind of outline roughly the edge of where this was, just to give it some more definition. It's kind of just floating out here right now. Okay, so there's that. And it definitely is just like a rough interpretation, but it's meant to be just like a torn edge kind of thing. At least I think. It is for me. So I think whatever I do is fine there. That looks pretty good. And then I think I also want to outline the leaves to give them a little bit more definition inside of here. And then we'll see what I like and how I'm feeling after that, and maybe we'll do something else. I like that in white. It keeps it nice and light. And it also is really interesting. I also have this stamp set, and I was looking at it, and I was kind of feeling like I want this moth in here as well. I think I really like this. Okay, I've got some Van Gogh mixed media paper here, and it's really nice, actually. I should make a journal page on here one day. But I have, it's white, let's see, 9 by 12, 135 pound, 220 gram per meter squared. So it's a pretty substantial weight you could create just on this. It's got a perforation line in here too, which is really nice. I'm just going to rip it out because I don't care right now. I'm just using it to stamp on. I'm going to cut it out. But I just kind of wanted to show you what paper I'm using in case you're interested in learning more about that. And then I want to use this moth. I don't know how many times I'm going to use it. So I'm just going to stamp. And I'm just using just a freehand one because I just want to stamp a bunch. You know, I don't care about it being exactly in a particular spot or whatever. And I think I'm going to use black. I want it to stand out. I'm sort of just thinking this through with you live here. So, yeah, I don't mind if I kind of do want it to be a little bit painterly. So instead of using like a stamping ink, like I would normally use, I'm going to use some paint, and I wanted to kind of show you what that looks like and give you some ideas so that, you know, maybe if you were thinking like, ooh, I don't know what that's like, or maybe I want to try that, this will give you some idea of that and maybe some permission to play. That's the best part. Okay, so yeah, I've got a pool of black here on my palette, and I'm just going to take my stamp and I'm just going to start squishing it in, and it's going to be too much, and that's okay. And that's why we've got a whole page here to play with. Okay. And I'm just going to keep stamping. Oh, pick up a little bit more, and eventually you kind of find the right, ooh, that's pretty good. Oh, so good. And I love it because it's not perfect. It's getting better though, right? And I'm going to have a bunch of them. You could make really cool backgrounds with this, you know, if you just kept stamping like here and there and backwards and upside down or whatever. I mean, think of the cool stuff you could do with this. So I'm just going to make a whole bunch. And the less, you know, goopy, I guess it's my technical term for that, that ink is on here, the more crisp of an image you're going to get. I've got a few on here that I'm really happy with, but I'm just going to keep going because why not? I can use these for so many things, and I've got it all out here, so I might as well just use it. And look at how many times I can stamp before I got to get more of the paint. Ooh, and I kind of love it when it gets like that. It even has a little bit of splatter there on the side. This is super fun. So I've got a few in here that are really good and crisp that I'm going to use. I'm going to let this dry. But in the meantime, I'm going to bring back my page, and you know, I've got this side page going on over here, and I think I'm just going to keep going because this is so much fun. I can't stop, and who cares? So we'll just go right up the side. Maybe I'll just make like a fun background or something. Put it in all different directions. Look at how fun this is. This is so simple, and it doesn't have to be black, right? Of course, you could do whatever color you want, whatever orientation. It's just fun. Easy way to make your own pattern page too. So look at, in seconds, we have our own little moth background here on that cool gold and pink. So anyway, that's going to be another page for another time, but how fun is that? Okay, so the only thing I will say when you're using any kind of acrylic paint, now this is acrylic ink, right? So it's thinner than regular paint, but it's still acrylic. So it's going to dry, and it's going to be it's going to be dried onto your stamp. So the only thing I want you to do is, if you're using acrylic on a stamp, just get it wet and wipe it off while it's still wet. If your acrylic paint dries on your stamp, it's okay. It's okay. All is not lost. I do have stamps that have acrylic paint on them. If it happens once or twice, it's not a big deal. You can probably even peel it off at a certain point, depending on what kind of stamp materials used. But over time, if you don't ever clean this off, over time the acrylic ink or paint or whatever will build up, and it will make the impression less crisp. Okay, so that's the only thing. But look at, there's even some in the cracks, and it's okay. It's totally fine. It's not going to affect the stamp at all. So use your acrylic paint on your stamps. Just be aware of the way that you need to clean it and take care of it, and you'll be totally fine. But look at how fun this is, right? Okay, back to this. So now I have a few. I kind of have like, I think I want 3. I don't know. We'll see. I'm starting there, starting with 3. And I'm just going to cut out a couple of them that I really like right here. These 3 in this row look pretty good to me. Sorry for that. But I'm definitely keeping this because I could use all of those at some point, right? And I'm just real quick going to fussy cut them. Okay, I cut them out. Here they are. I don't know what I'm doing with them just yet, but here they are, and they're gorgeous, and I love them, and I'm so excited. I do definitely want a phrase or something in here. Okay, I found a quote that I really like. I'm going to put my clip back on here because this is kind of bugging me. It says, focus on the step in front of you, not the whole path. I like that because this feels sort of like a path carved out of this, you know, crazy awesome background thing. So I don't know. I'm just going to feel this out a little bit. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I think I want a moth above and below and maybe one in between. That's kind of what I'm thinking here, but let's just see how this looks. I don't know if I'm going to like it. So I have focus on the step in front of you, comma, and then not the whole path. And I'm wondering if maybe it would be cool to put the moth like there in between here. What do you think? And then I could like kind of tilt them. I think I like this. Okay, so let's go with some collage medium. This is from Jane. So I'm just gonna start at the bottom and work my way up. And I just use my finger. This is just basically like a type of glue. I'm just gonna put it underneath for the moths. They're a little bit thicker paper. You could also use like a glue or something. Whatever works for you. You could use like a hot glue or not hot glue, glue stick, you know, that works nice. But for these thinner papers, I really do like to use the gel medium, or this is matte medium, same thing. Because it just works a little bit better. Okay, let's have this one kind of angled a little bit this way. I like that these are black also. Ooh, that looks nice. Okay, let's put it over the top too. Because they stand out from the rest. You know, there's a lot of color and stuff going on. So I'm kind of enjoying the black color on the moths here. Sorry. Okay, let me move these words out of the way and just do the rest of this. A little bit more up there. And I really do like to use my finger. It's a good tool, and it works pretty well. So I'm just going around the edges, make sure that moth stays nice and flat too. And then move this around and put all my words in place here. And then I take a little paper towel and just kind of dab it. So I pick up any excess glue here. And then also it helps it kind of stay in place a little bit better too. Okay. This is looking great. I really like the way this turned out. Still really in love with this. Okay, and then I just have a black paint marker here, and I'm outlining the words. And I let it be kind of messy and scratchy looking. I like the way that looks. So I think that I'm done here. This is our page for today. So again, I just want to reiterate the thing about color and really get you thinking about what colors make you feel comfortable and at home and cozy or excited. Are those two things different or the same? For me, they're kind of the same, but they could be different. It doesn't mean that, you know, muted blues and greens and those kind of colors, they definitely make me feel calm and subdued, right? You know, like that's just a normal human brain thing that happens for the most part. But I really want you to think about, what's your palette? What palette, what kind of colors do you gravitate towards? And then how do they make you feel? And why do you choose them? Why do you like them so much? It is a really great way to really start to get in touch with color and your relationship to it, and then you can expand from there. So we'll be talking more about color in future videos too, but I thought this was a really good place to start, and I would love to hear what your color palette is. If you want to share in the comments, I would love to know more and learn more about you and share your creative process. I hope that this was fun for you. I hope that you got your journal out and created along next to me. And if you didn't, go get your journal right now and pick your favorite colors and think about how they make you feel and why they make you feel that way, and then create a beautiful page with them. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.